Hey everybody, John Harris here from the Cheap Seats. We've all been kind of on the road on assignment and on other things, just trying to get enough information to keep you guys informed. And we had some yesterday and we put it out there. I will go over yesterday's picks from the guys and we'll give you today's picks as well. So welcome to Public John Media's From the Cheap Seats, brought to you by Vineland Realty Corporation. 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. You get down there, tell them you got sent from the cheap seats. Uh, Go down and see Dennis, Helen, and the gang. Anybody that can help you in South Jersey with any real estate needs won't be able to help you any more than these folks at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. Their phone number 856-690-9482. That's 856-690-9482. We thank those folks for sponsoring us and helping us keep these things going. And we've got more shows of different types and revisit some old things coming up really soon. So I know I've been saying that, but we do have things on the board with different people, different folks helping us out. So we're going to have some fun, but we're going to get through our NFL season first because it's really what interests the heck out of me and all my buddies that help out. So, but Roger and Billy are unavailable; they're on the road, but they did take time out to send in their picks, and we'll review first yesterday. Billy and I both picked Kansas City to win and cover. They barely covered. Excuse me. They barely covered. Uh, Basically because the punter ran out of the end zone for a safety to make it a 9 point lead. The spread was 8. So we hang on. Billy and I both do. Roger took Houston across the board. They almost covered, but not quite. And in the first half, it looked like Roger had a shot. But as Kansas City is wont to do, they made adjustments and came out the second half. If you take a look at the game film, or if you watch the game, you'll see that the linebacker defensive end Anderson was in the backfield the whole first half, causing all kinds of problems for Houston uh, from Houston, I should say, causing all kinds of problems for Mahomes, the pass rush, Kansas City, tackling people behind the line of scrimmage for the run. They made some kind of adjustment at halftime, and you didn't hear Anderson's name anymore in the second half. So I think that was key to Kansas City being able to run a little bit of an offense. Travis Kelce had a great day, as did Mahomes. Only one wide receiver caught a ball for Kansas City all day. That was Xavier Worthy. Big catch. He had one taken away that kind of looked close, but in the end, it was incomplete. Uh, but he did have one big catch for a big gainer on a drive, and it helped solidify. Kelce had a huge day, especially run after the catch. He was running through people, and he did have a touchdown on a great play by Mahomes, who was literally falling forward, and just before his knee hit the ground, found Kelce in the end zone for a touchdown. A great play. Again, it's a Mahomes making a Mahomes play. So, a terrific, outstanding play by Patrick Mahomes once again in the postseason. The second game was Detroit and Washington, and man, until the fourth quarter at least, this was a barn burner, back and forth, both offenses up and down the field. The key was turnovers. Detroit turned the ball over way too much. The last interception while going down the field, the game was pretty much over anyway, and Goff kind of had to throw it. I think it was a fourth down play into the end zone and it got picked off. But one before half that kind of crushed them because they weren't that far away from getting a field goal, and instead they threw a pick in the end zone. Uh, Goff fumbled. They tried a trick play with a wide receiver throwing the ball, and he threw a pick instead of throwing it away or running. So a couple bad choices, but you you kind of feel bad for Detroit, but boy, they were decimated by defensive injuries, and it showed yesterday because Washington, Jaden Daniels, if he's not the man, he's so close to being the man. He's like 17 years, 364 days old officially then. If he's not the man, one more day he'll be the man. He is, if not a superstar already, going to be if he continues to play at this level. Unbelievable. I don't think he knows he's a rookie. I really don't. I don't think he knows that he's not supposed to do this well yet. What a great offensive effort by Washington. Uh, and they looked every bit the part that they belong there, beating the team with the best record in the NFL and knocking them out. Uh, which means the winner of today's Philadelphia Rams game, we're on Sunday now, will host the NFC Championship. So there's a whole new situation as well, where it should have went through Detroit if it stayed true to form, but with Detroit losing, again it'll be Washington's a wild card, so they would have to go to a division winner, which is what the Rams and Philly both are. So, going to be a tough day for Washington, possibly. But both of these teams are going to fight it out today, and we'll go into the Sunday picks uh, in just a second. Billy and I both picked Detroit to win, but Washington to cover. Bad news is we were wrong about the winner or loser. Good news is if you bet, you won. If you stayed with Billy and I, Roger went with Detroit across the board, and unfortunately that wasn't the case for Roger. So he had a tough day yesterday. But I got faith in Roger. He'll bounce back. He knows about football here. So let's go into the picks for today's games. Let me see. Again, the first game of the day, which will be as we're filming, well, it'll be Sunday at about 3:15, 3:30 Eastern to something Central. Uh, Rams and Eagles in Philadelphia. There is snow on the ground, I believe, in Philadelphia, and it's supposed to snow straight through, so we will see. That's obviously an advantage for Philadelphia. Matt Stafford is not known to play very well in bad inclement weather. Philadelphia's run game will have an advantage if it's a, a snow game, I think. So either way, Billy took Philly to win the game and the Rams to cover. I'm going to play the weather and home field advantage here and think Philly's going to win it across the board. And Rogers agreeing with Billy, he's going to take the Eagles to win and the Rams to cover. Uh, and we'll see what happens there. Baltimore and Buffalo, big game tonight. Of course, the winner of the first one we already talked about, the Eagles Rams, will whoever wins that will host the NFC Championship, and then Baltimore and Buffalo, the winner of this, will host the AFC. Will not host. I'm sorry. The winner will go to Kansas City, who had the best record in all the NFL. They will go to Kansas City to face the Chiefs for the AFC Championship. Baltimore, as of right now, is picked by one. The weather is not going to be that bad in Buffalo. And after two, and like I said, Billy and I, and Roger does kind of a hybrid of facts and eyes. I usually do mostly the eye test. Billy does numbers. All of us uh, have enough facts to back us up. Billy thinks, and I think, even though we use our two different methods, Baltimore should win this game. And of course, it's only a 1 point spread. It's almost a toss up. Um, I think Baltimore has too much on the ground. I think Derrick Henry can run through Buffalo's off defense, even though there are some linebackers back. Henry gained almost over 200 yards the first time they met this season. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson could have a good day as well. On the ground more probably than in the air, but uh, I just think Baltimore is a little too much. I mean, don't count Josh Allen out, but Singletary not as good a running back. Receiving cores are about even. I think Baltimore's defense since the second half of the season is just a little bit better than Buffalo's. Go with I think Baltimore across the board. So does Billy. Roger thinks Buffalo across the board, and he could be right too. I mean, there's a reason it's a 1 point game. So there you have it. So for today's games, Billy and I both picked the Eagles to win. Billy, and so does Roger. Billy and Roger picked the Rams to cover the spread. I think Philadelphia will more than cover the spread. Um, Weather in Philadelphia could be a big factor as far as turnovers or ability to run an offense. Billy and I, Baltimore goes to Buffalo. We both think Baltimore will win and cover. Of course, the spread's 1 point. Roger thinks Buffalo will win, and obviously, if they win, they're given or taking the 1 point, so they would cover the spread as well. Uh, Last week's picks, we have them here. How did we do, you say? Well, what we did was the first game, the Rams in Houston, or I'm sorry, the Chargers in Houston. We all took the Chargers across the board, and obviously we all lost. Uh, Houston really played well. The Chargers did not. Obviously, it was a 2.5 point spread for the Chargers. So all of us losing that game means we lost the spread and the game. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, we all took Baltimore to win and cover, and that turned out to be the case as well. So far in the first two games there, we split. We were 1-1. When you look at Denver and Buffalo, all three of us took Buffalo to win and cover, even though it was an 8.5 point spread, and we were all correct. Buffalo obviously just dominated Denver. Um, Denver, couple more changes and they'll be there. They're a good young team, but they had a bad day in Buffalo. Green Bay and Philadelphia. Uh, Billy and I both won that one. It was a 5 point spread, and the Eagles won by more than five. Green Bay started out okay, and again, it was a second half. Philadelphia made adjustments and took over that game. Roger took Green Bay across the board. No, he didn't. I apologize. He took Philly to win the game. He was right there, but he took Green Bay to cover, and unfortunately, that did not for him. That did not come to pass. Uh, Washington and Tampa Bay. Billy took Washington across the board. Now you got to remember, Billy is also a Washington fan, but it was not an outlandish pick. Tampa Bay was picked by three. He took Washington to win and cover. Tampa Bay was picked by Roger and I. We both, all three of us got a push because Washington won by three, but Billy got a win on the straight up game pick. So, and last but not least, in a uh, big surprise, I believe. Yeah, it was a big surprise, and Roger picked it. Give Roger, this is what I was telling you earlier. Roger does know his stuff, folks. He picked this one. Billy and I took the Minnesota to cover and win the 2.5 points spread. Roger took the Rams to cover, and he took them to win. So he was on the money on that one. Um, so for the week, Billy and I were 1, 2, 3, 1-1. Roger was the same, just in a different way. So we were all in the same ballpark. Again, you would have made money off all three of us. So, have faith in us, folks. We're in there. Remember, we're going against DraftKings and CBS Sports Line odds every week. So for us to do that means we're betting against Vegas's odds when we do this, or with them, whichever. But when we go against the odds, which is quite often, um, we win a game, we're beating Vegas's odds. So, uh, congratulations to the guys and to you folks if you followed. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. Sunday's games are coming up very shortly. We hope you guys have fun watching them. Remember, next week, the championships both will be on Sunday. And then, of course, February 9th is your Super Bowl. So it's coming, folks. We're almost down to the end of the season for 2024, technically. And it's a lot of fun. We're having some great fun here, and we're gonna have some format changes. We did have some this year. We're gonna have some next year as well. Try to make the show shorter for you. Obviously, this one's shorter, and have one every so often, even during the off season of football, because there's obviously a lot of sports to cover. WNBA, there's the new league coming out. I think it's the Universal League for 3-on-3 full court for female women's basketball. Going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think. Um, no Caitlin Clark, no Asia Wilson, but a lot of other people are there, and it's going to have women who are usually teammates during the WNBA season are actually going to be opponents, and opponents are going to be teammates. But it's going to be a lot of fun. But it is set teams for that shortened season. You got the TGL, the Televised Golf League. That looks like it's a lot of fun. It's more of a video situation. Professional golfers hitting into the screens but it's a lot of fun because of the banter between the players. It's a lot of fun. Tiger Woods last week. I think he and Rory are investors in it. definitely players. And there was a lot of fun last week between the players. So that's going to be a lot of fun. WNBA, I'm sorry, NBA starting to kick up again. It's been going, but now interest is going. Look out for Cleveland, OKC. Uh, Boston's still going to be in the mix, of course. Uh, and there's some surprises too. So we'll see what happens. The Knicks are a good team in the East. Minnesota's playing okay. They might get a little better during the season now. Let's see what happens in the NBA. As to me, this is when their season, right after football, but it's true. Interest wise and competition wise, this is when their season starts to really take off. The NHL is starting to kick. Ovechkin's only 20 goals away from breaking the great one, Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. And Connor McDavid from Edmonton just took second all-time scoring for his team. Of course, again, he's chasing Gretzky, and he's going to be chasing for a while, but if he ever gets to it. But Connor McDavid is turning out to be a terrific goal scorer as well and a great young player. A lot of exciting things happening in the National Hockey League as well. Australian Open's going on now. There's been a couple of upsets. It looks like that a couple of big time players are on the men's side are getting ready to face each other. So get ready for that. The Joker and Carlos, they're getting ready to play each other in a quarterfinal seed. They're on a head-on collision, so that could happen. Uh, so Naomi Osaka got defeated yesterday, so she's out, but Coco Gauff is still in. Uh, a lot of twists and turns in the Australian Open for the USTA. So a lot of things happening in sports, and we'll get to cover some of them pretty soon. The NFL coaching carousel is getting ready to start as well. Once the playoffs are over, you'll see some folks getting interviews for jobs. Of course, during the week, Mike Vrabel was hired in New England. Uh, Not an overly big surprise. A lot of people aren't thrilled with the method it was used. Because of the Rooney Rule, and they think that these guys weren't given, a couple of guys weren't given real, honest to goodness opportunities to interview. They think Vrabel was the pick, and they were just going through the motions. That's for the NFL to decide. Uh, it's probably true, but you got to find out if there's proof of it. Uh, Other things are happening. Mike McCarthy was not re-signed in Dallas, technically not fired, but his contract was not renewed. So he's out there and there's people interviewing him. So there's going to be a lot of interest in the coaching carousel this this next few weeks, especially now. Detroit's out and everybody was talking about both of their coordinators possibly getting hired. Yesterday might not have helped Aaron Glenn. Uh, Sit back and watch for Ben Johnson though to start getting some props. They still scored quite a few points yesterday on Washington, so uh, his offense looks pretty good. Except I hated that trick play they called. That was awful, especially in that spot. Uh, you trust your receiver to make if he's going to be on a trick play with an option pass. You trust him to make a good decision, and he shouldn't have thrown that ball. If anything, he should have thrown it away. If he didn't feel comfortable running, then he should have thrown it away. But easy for me to say. I'm sitting here in the cheap seats making these judgments. So a lot of fun for us. Not a lot of fun for the guys in Detroit right now. But it wasn't just because of that play. Washington beat them, and it looked it all game long. So it looked to me like Detroit was fighting back, like that boxer just clinging on and hoping to land one good punch, and they didn't really have the chance. So there you have the NFL wrap up. I do want to say one thing, and of course, wrap ups on the other things. I do want to say one thing. We're not just about football. We cover other sports as well, or try to the best that we can. As you know, the guys travel around, and we have all kinds of things going on in our lives. Roger's a new daddy, Billy's a new granddaddy. So they traveled to go see them. Well, Roger obviously was home, but very busy. He has six now, so he's running around. I don't think him and his wife have to worry about weight problems because they're going to be running around after these little ones for a while. Uh, Meanwhile, Billy of course, back and forth to go see his grandbaby in Louisiana, grandchildren, I should say. I think they're up to six. I think they have five boys and a girl, and they just had the girl. So Grandpop is and Grandma Janine. Shout out to her. Shout out to Paige and Mike uh, uh, for uh, for being new parents again. And so they're all pretty busy right now. But the guys take their time, take some time and put in their picks still, and they're still watching games and they're still doing research for all of us. So thank you guys for a great season. Uh, and Billy and I at one point will go over our preseason playoff picks probably after the Super Bowl because that's when it's most fun to look back and say, well, how did this team do? Not as good as we thought or better than we thought. So we'll see. Uh, all that being said, we cover more than football or try to anyway. Uh, this week is a heartbreaking loss. If you can say that somebody at the age of 90 passed away too soon, then that's what happened to the great Hall of Fame broadcaster, Bob Ueker. If you get the chance, or take the time, if you're sitting around going, la, 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 take the chance to go on YouTube and look up Bob Ueker. You will see an array of videos, everything from Johnny Carson visits, which each one was a gem, to the point of where he was on the Johnny Carson show more than 100 times. Carson gave him the nickname eventually that stuck, which was Mr. Baseball. So even if you can't figure out how to spell Euchre, which is Ueker, I believe, it's Bob Ueker, who was a player in the 60s for the Cardinals. Well, he started with the Braves when they were in Milwaukee, which was his hometown. Milwaukee. He ended up going to the Cardinals, to the Phillies, and then back to the Braves when they were in Atlanta. He only played about 6 years. He's the first one to tell you, but he jokes about how good it was, a 200 batting average, was a backup catcher his whole career. Uh, but there are great jokes about his playing days and about some other players. His Hall of Fame speech, no notes. If you look, he goes up and just goes off the rip like a comic. He he was so funny that he got a uh, cast spot as a regular in a show called Mr. Belvedere. Like I said, over on Carson over 100 times, uh, and a great broadcaster for over 50 years for Milwaukee Brewers radio. And he's going to be missed. He was so loved by players and staff in Milwaukee that if they won a big game, like a playoff game or something, Euchre was in the clubhouse celebrating. Uh, the other part of that is they always voted him a player's share on their own. Euchre never asked for it, and he always donated it to charity, which was behind the scenes. A lot of people didn't know it, but enough did that we're able to get it out there as a few other people. So whenever he did get something like that, he donated it to charity. Uh, like I said, he worked with Bob Costas. He worked with Howard Cosell. There's a great story relayed about Howard Cosell. This will give you a little hint about Bob Ueker. Uh, Howard Cosell in a would do Sunday Night Baseball with Keith Jackson and Ueker and Al Michaels and Euchre. So at one point, I think it was Al Michaels' turn as play-by-play, and he tells the story, I believe. Cosell, in an awkward, weird situation, saying that a certain batter should bunt, and of course, it was not the correct situation for a bunt. So Euchre kind of called him out on it, trying to be nice, and just said, "It's not really the right." Da, 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 da. And Cosell says, back to Euchre, and I think I'm getting this mostly right, but go on. Al Michaels will tell you. It's one of the YouTube videos. It's great. It says, Euchre, you're being truculent. You know what truculent means, right? And Euchre goes, yeah, I know what truculent is. You got a truck and you loaned it to me. So I got the truculent. And it was like, he just didn't take it, but he did it so good naturedly. And it was so funny. He played the buffoon, but he was no buffoon. Um, but Bob Uecker at 90, a long, and he would tell you, long, great, terrific life. passed away after a bout with cancer. Not a very long bout, thank God. We hope he didn't suffer very much, but because he didn't deserve to. But there are stories out there. There's another one. I won't tell it because it's kind of long about marching. With Robin Yount tells that one about marching down the middle of the street after getting done a bar to go back to the hotel with a bunch of Milwaukee players, and they're marching. He's leading them in a military type march, left, right, that kind of thing. Gets stopped by two cops who then Ueker, who's leading the whole like six or eight guys or whatever, tells the cops, fall in, or basically to that effect. And they do, one in the front, one in the back. And then when they get back to the hotel and they're getting ready to go in the revolving door, the two cops, one on each side, salute them. It's a visiting town. I can't remember which one, but they were on the road, and the cops on both sides of the revolving door salute them all as they go inside the building. Only Bob Ueker could pull off that stunt. And the cops even said to them, good luck tomorrow, gentlemen. And it's just his command, his presence, his sense of humor, his ability to relate to a guy like me coming from the cheap seats, which, of course, look up Miller Lite commercials and you'll know. Um, our play on this is kind of a play on his where he just went, oh, I must be sitting in the front row. And he's obviously not when you see the commercial. It's great. He's a national treasure, not just a sports treasure, not just a baseball treasure. Bob Ueker was a great American treasure, and we're going to miss him. He may have been 90 and given us a lot of moments, but I wished he was around a little bit longer to give us a few more moments, because he was just, like we said, a guy who entertained, who just loved baseball, but he entertained us all. So, Mr. Ueker, please rest in peace. We don't know if your family will see this or not, but if they do, our condolences to them from the cheap seats, to a man, uh, to a staff member, all of us, Ethel here, all of us wish Bob Ueker nothing but being able to rest in peace, wish nothing but his family all the best wishes that we can. And we thank you, Bob, for all the great memories, all the fun, uh, and all the insight. Thank you, Bob Ueker. And to you, we'll salute you as well. That's it for us from the cheap seats from Vineland Realty Corporation and the gang down in Vineland, New Jersey, who will meet all your business and property needs. And residential needs as well in the South Jersey area. Uh, Remember, you can call them or go visit them at 634 East Landis Avenue, or give them a call. I'm going to look up the number and get it right for you, 856 690 9482. For Helen, Dennis, the whole crew down there at Violent Realty, we thank you. Uh, and we're going to go. We're going to go get out of here, go enjoy the games. Um, just in homage to Mr. Ueker, we got to go. Normally, we're in the cheap seats. Today, we're going to be in the front row. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.